Additional Lumberjack Logic Live. I'm your host, Neil Johnson, and I am very excited to be with you and share this because it is wins, wins, and more wins. And yes, we can talk about the fact that these courts have said Donald Trump can't fire people. Imagine that, can't fire people. But the reality is those decisions will be overturned. So the left can use their tactics, but they understand, I think even they know that those are just stall and delay tactics. And yes, they're trying to keep the Trump administration busy. But the reality is they are losing on all these fronts. And we're going to get into that here this morning. In fact, the only thing they have left to do is put cars on fire at Tesla dealerships. Now, if that doesn't prove their weakness, I don't know what does. And it will not create a good narrative for them. Patrick, good to see you on from Arkansas. Kansas City, Ozark Bob, good to see you. Yeah, please do smash that like. Do chat in with where you're from as we get this stream rolling. If you didn't know, there is a dangerous and alarming trend. You talk about a dying party. You talk about a party in complete disarray and a base that knows not what to do, okay, because they're so mentally incapacitated, okay? Yesterday alone, multiple people were swatted. Cat turd. So this is on X of different people and radio personalities and a great Trump impersonator, Sean Farish, Cat Turd, Gunther Eagleman, Joe Peggs. That's a number of people swatted. Okay, not only were they swatted, Nick Sorter, who posts on X, was swatted, but his sister was swatted. So they're going after their family members. All of this. Do you know people can die in these SWAT raids? I mean, cops come up heavily armed, not knowing what they're coming up on, thinking that they've got an active shooter. Okay. That's what's taking place out there. But this is how ineffective and pathetic the left is, that they resort to terrorism of Elon Musk when he actually is the guy they used to herald for doing electric cars. So they've got this groupthink woke mind virus going on, and it's not going to play out well in the public. But here's where it gets really good, folks. You know how President Trump wanted a clean continuing resolution, and Thomas Massey was like, oh, no, we can't do that because it's just spending more money. Well, the reality is, just so you understand the process, and I listened to numerous things on this, I'm going to explain to you what reconciliation is this morning for those who don't know. We're going to walk through this. But Trump needed that CR, even though it extends government funding, which I don't like at its current levels. Trump plans to use a process called reconciliation to fix all of that. Okay. So I don't know how many of you guys know this part of the strategy. I know I'm not for spending money like at these levels that we're spending money at, but to get a bill through the Senate, see, the Senate can filibuster, they can hold things up. They won't even get it to cloture, like the cloture vote won't ever be solved, so it can't come to the floor for a full vote. Well, yesterday something really big happened because Chuck Schumer was saying, hey, we're not going to support the CR, because he knew that by supporting the CR, the continuing resolution, that Trump would be able to go in and do reconciliation, and they want all these protections, to keep the bureaucracy in place. Okay, now here's where it gets really wild. So Chuck Schumer goes and does that. Well, then people from the Trump administration are like, well, this is great because now we can actually say who's essential and who's not essential. What happened was, by virtue of shutdown with the things Trump wants to do, Schumer and the other Democrats realized that they weren't going to get anywhere. In fact, it was going to take them further backwards. And it's kind of funny because, I don't typically expect Schumer to come out. I mean, for those who, you respect your enemy, folks. This is rule number one. Politics and war, respect your enemy. Because the reality is, whether or not we like Chuck Schumer, this dude's a political animal. Do you guys all understand that? I mean, Chuck Schumer understands the game of politics. Seriously, you don't have to like him, but let me ask the audience a question. In fact, do you all understand that even if you don't like Chuck Schumer, you can respect his knowledge of the game? Yes or no? In the chat, just comment on that. Curious to see where you're at. I mean, again, I'm not saying I like Chuck Schumer, but if you can't realize that he is a political animal and you have to understand and appreciate his abilities. Not even appreciate, it's not the right word because I don't appreciate him. Okay. Yes, it's his life. Thank you. Who made that comment? RJD0724. Yes, it's his life. I mean, this is his whole thing. So when Chuck Schumer caves on something this big, I was really surprised that he came out with the initial statement because he should have known at that point that Trump was going to do this. But I think his rage overtook him, and he thought he was going to put up some sort of resistance, and they were going to be able to use the media to then pin the shutdown on Trump, when in reality, the House already voted to pass it. The Democrats would have been in opposition, and they are the minority party, and the president is willing to sign it. So it was at the end of the day, I think he faced the reality that this was not going to be a political win for him. And then Trump was just going to go on and determine that more of the government was non-essential and never give them their job backs. See, here's the problem with shutdowns, folks. What happens every time the government shut down? Come on, people. I'm curious. And light this up in the chat. You guys all know, every time the government shuts down, right? It's only the non-essential. So then you're wondering, well, if they're non-essential, let's just call it non-essential, all of it, okay? But what happens every time the government shuts down? They then unshut down, right? They come back, and what happens? Write that up in the chat. So, and I'm just gonna, you guys have had enough time to answer that question. Here's the deal. They bring the workers back with back pay. So the shutdown that should have saved us money because the government wasn't running, they bring back the government workers with back pay. Freaking back pay. How would you like it if you got vacations with back pay every time the people in charge couldn't figure crap out? Okay? So here's what happened. I'm going to pull this out of CNN because this is absolutely hilarious to me. And you have to understand, this isn't... So one of the Fox News reporters was outside of the conference room where the Democrats were talking about this and could hear Senator Kirsten Gillibrand yelling and screaming. They were so mad at Chuck Schumer because they thought, we're going to fight. We're going to be the resistance. But see, Schumer understands the political game. Good to see you on, Rainmaker. So Schumer understands this game of politics. And he realized eventually that he's going to have to eat crow because he couldn't do it. So, listen to this. Veteran Democrats privately believed Chuck Schumer's decision on the shutdown was inevitable. Others were ready for the top Senate Democrat to lead them into their first big battle against President Donald Trump. Instead, they are left fuming. Now, folks, I've got a couple other really good stories here, but we're going to get into this one because this is a fun one for me. Schumer's declaration Thursday night that he would vote for Republicans' stopgap spending bill. Now, here's the thing. People saying, well, how do you know it's going to pass, Neil, if Chuck Schumer said he's going to vote for it? Because they need, is it 7 or 8 votes to get past this? Well, I'm going to tell you how you know. Because Chuck Schumer is not going to eat crow in this manner unless he knows he has the votes. So the reality is the votes are there. Chuck Schumer, by virtue of coming out and saying this, the votes are there. You guys understand that? Okay. Trump just thanked Chuck Schumer on Truth Social 2 minutes ago. That's great. That's even more crow than I love how Trump does that stuff. Hey, thanks, Chuck. Oh my gosh. Anyways, Schumer's declaration Thursday night that he would vote for a Republican stopgap spending bill, backing down in the party's first big leverage point in President Donald Trump's second term, has confirmed a dire political reality for his caucus. Democrats had no good options left to avert a government shutdown, with just hours to go until the deadline. If we go into a shutdown, and I told my caucus this, there's no off-ramp. The total off-ramp of a shutdown, how you stop a shutdown, is totally determined by the Republican House and Senate. And that is totally determined because they've shown complete blind obeisance to Trump, Doge, etc. They could keep us in a shutdown for months and months and months. Schumer told reporters Thursday night. The Democratic leader's decision privately disappointed many in his caucus and stunned the House colleagues across the U.S. Capitol, leaving the party deeply divided on the path ahead at a moment when their base is clamoring for a strong response against Trump and Elon Musk's actions to radically reshape the federal government. We're in a perverse, bizarro land where we're having to decide between letting Donald Trump wreck the government this way or wreck the government that way, New Jersey's Democrat Senator Cory Booker said of the Democrats' predicament. How are we going to let him wreck our slush fund? It's a moment that has been months in the making. Still, top Democrats in Congress struggle to find a cohesive message and strategy that would allow them room to fight without the potential risk of what it would mean if thousands of government workers were suddenly thrust into more uncertainty with a shutdown. Perhaps the clearest sign of the dilemma. The top two leaders took opposite paths, with Schumer deciding to vote for the GOP plan that top House Democrat Hakeem Jeffries has spent a full week bashing. They are incomplete. People, you don't understand. I'm telling you. Oh, gosh. They don't know what to do. They do not know what to do. They are in complete panic, anger, disillusionment, bewilderment. They don't know what the heck to do. Trump has outplayed them at every move, okay? This is why I love bringing this up, because so many people throughout the last years were telling me that, Trump could never win and the deep state has us and the World Economic Forum and all of that. And, for that to be the case, folks, you have to believe, number one, in a couple things. One, that God cannot intervene based upon your prayers. And number two, that the freedom-loving hearts and minds of people out there can just be silenced and shut down. And I think that's just a foolish path, okay? So I just want y'all to know that. That's where I come from. That's why I've always been the way I am. Do me a favor, again, many more people on the stream. Please smash that like. Let's get up over 2,000 on this stream this morning, because this is fun stuff, okay? So, yeah, you've got Hakeem Jeffries bashing it, Chuck Schumer. Now, Chuck Massey will say this is all performative and all this stuff, but Chuck Massey never had a plan. Massey never had a plan. His plan was just to vote no against what Trump wanted. I understand wanting clean bills. We all want clean bills, don't we? I mean, no, not Chuck Massey, Thomas Massey. I'm sorry. I'm mixing him up with Chuck Schumer. It's a Freudian slip, I promise. Anyways, he was just being an obstructionist. And it's not that, again, I firmly believe that we should be passing single bills, okay? But we're not going to get it done. We didn't have the votes to make it through the Senate that way. This is the way in which Trump overplayed him. In fact, Chuck Schumer was acting like Doug Ford up in Canada, okay? I mean, he's acting completely like Doug Ford and Justin Trudeau and all these people up in Canada. Do you know that 1% of our GDP is made up by exports to Canada? 20% of Canada's GDP is made up of exports to America. They don't have the cards. Chuck Schumer didn't have the cards. But they're so upset right now that they're making errors, fatal errors, coming out and saying stupid things. I almost said stupid shice. Anyways, they're making these unforced errors because he has just outplayed them so bad. Anyhow, Dr. King once made the observation, this is Jeffries again. Dr. King once made the observation that, although everyone may not see it at the moment, the time is always right to do what's right. This week's House Democrats did what was right. We stood up against Donald Trump. We stood up against Elon Musk. We stood up against extreme MAGA Republicans, Jeffrey said to applause in Leesburg, Virginia at a party retreat Thursday night, according to a person in the room. We can defend the vote because we stood on the side of the American people. I wonder if they're going to stand on the side of the people of Greenland. Did you see what happened in Greenland? The vote up there? Oh, it's just glorious. When the Senate votes Friday, many Democrats expect the vote to reflect the generational divide in the chamber. Freshman senators like Slotkin of Michigan and Gallego of Arizona, who many believe would vote for the bill because they hold seats in states Trump won in November, instead remained firmly opposed and signaled they wanted to use the funding bill to fight the president. And the disconnect reflects a simmering tension that runs through the DNC and far beyond Washington. I'm pissed, Jim McGovern told CNN shortly after Schumer's floor speech. Maybe they'll toughen up for the fight on reconciliation. I don't know. This guy Trump is ruining the country. And I expected more fight. I can't get enough of this, people. I really can't. I just can't. Democrats have been hand-wringing over how to handle the shutdown for months. The decision between voting for a shutdown and voting for a bill many believe has serious cuts in funding programs that are important for Democrats has led to marathon party lunches, endless discussions, and little clarity on what many Democrats would ultimately do. What's so funny about this is the CR continues to fund everything the Democrats had before. Trump is playing a different game. He's not playing the game that some of these people are used to. So Trump is building consensus. And again, I'm going to do a show on this. I got to do this coming up. People, the stock market will suffer. Okay. I know I mentioned this yesterday, but do you all understand that? The stock market needs to suffer. The housing market needs to suffer. And do you guys all understand this? The only people that this inflated stock market and inflated real estate market are helping are these, billionaires and people who have. Okay. Hi, Veteran Biker missed this morning. Oh, Veteran Biker wasn't on? Ben's a great guy, folks. Good channel over there, Veteran Biker. I just saw a comment there, but it's this is glorious. Anyways, I can't get enough of this stuff. They're in disarray right now. In order to avert the shutdown, at least 8 Democrats need to vote to allow the bill to move forward. 4 sources familiar with the discussion said Schumer spent Thursday privately asking members whether they plan to advance the House spending bill that would fund the government until the end of September. After a lengthy lunch Thursday, several senators who spoke on the condition of anonymity to privately discuss internal party deliberations told CNN they believe the votes would be there on their side to avert a shutdown. Shutdown's not going to happen. It would have been hung on them. They're relying on the media to not have it hung on them, but in the end, it would have been. Okay, so I got a couple other. I'm going to save that one for the end. Okay, we're going to go to this one right now. This next one I got is really good because I think it's just crucial. Okay. Out of the Washington Times, Democrat brand in the toilet because of insults to voters. Hatred of Donald Trump causes stupid political decisions. No joke. This is such a great piece. Get ready. It's not us. It's you. That was the message from Democratic Senator Elisa Slotkin to the 77.3 million Americans who elected President Trump again in November and helped him sweep all 7 battleground states. Appearing this week on ABC's nearly unwatchable talk show, The View, Ms. Slotkin blasted the plurality that sent Mr. Trump back to the White House. She compared those voters to violent and suicidal juveniles. I kid you not. That's what she said about you, my fine listening audience. What do you do when you have a teenager who's threatening themselves and others? Asked the freshman senator who represents Michigan, one of the swing states Trump won. You just try to get them through this period alive so that their brain can fully form. So I just want you to know that, yes, another white liberal woman, Elisa Slotkin of Michigan, is having compassion on you so that your brain can fully form. This is like the desperate clingers the bitter clingers and the deplorables, all this stuff. They still don't get it. This is the same senator who won praise from much of the legacy media for her delivery of the response to Mr. Trump's address to Congress last week. In that speech, she paid mere lip service to the concerns of voters the Democrats lost in the election, because that's all it is lip service. But if you can get them on a show like The View, where they're just yucking it up with their homies, and beautiful things come out. Once away from the teleprompter, she felt comfortable enough on The View to express her unscripted thoughts that the voters are dangerous idiots to be scorned. So much for reconnecting with people who became Trump voters. Not to be outdone, Democratic strategist Julie Roginski appeared on MSNBC to criticize Mr. Trump's support of Elon Musk's Tesla electric vehicles. Because of her contempt for the president, she felt compelled to insult the tens of millions of people who voted for Mr. Trump as too poor to purchase one of the cars. It's just, look, not only are you suicidal and dumb, but you're also too poor. Okay? Actually, Elon Musk has actually brought the price of those Teslas down. They're pretty affordable. Maybe I should go buy one. Not that I'm into electric cars, but maybe. I don't know who he thinks is buying Teslas, but I can guarantee you that you're out of reach, that they're out of reach, many of them, for the average Trump voter, she said. That's a heck of a way to attract working people to their side. I don't know what Democrats she advises as a strategist, but as a Republican, I hope her clients listen to her if that indicates the quality of her advice. The ridiculousness doesn't stop there. Sure, the new chairman of the DNC, Ken Martin, occasionally diagnoses his party's problems accurately, but it never translates into corrected behavior. So many parts of our coalition left us this last election cycle, right? We know that, he said on MSNBC in February. From Latino voters to working class households to young voters to women, you can go down the list. Every single time Democrats have the chance to prove they learned something, anything from the shellacking in November, they utterly and completely fail. In politics, 80-20 issues. That means 80% of the people feel one way about something and 20% the opposite. Democrats, time after time, choose the 20% side simply because Mr. Trump is on the other. Okay? They're losing. This whole women in sports things, they are completely losing on this issue. And many women did vote against them on this issue. Hey, is Veteran Biker on the chat? Good to see you on, Ben. I just saw somebody give a wave to Veteran Biker. Oh, hey, Veteran Biker just sent me $10 on Cash App. Hey, thanks. I'm telling you, I told you he was a good guy. Do you know when I broke my foot? Just FYI, yeah, so for those who don't know, I'm demonetized. That's why you can't do the super chats. So he sent me through Cash App, and it popped a notification up on my thing. I'll certainly give anybody a shout out who wants to help me be monetized through Cash App. But while I broke my foot, and I was all laid up this winter, do you know who sent me books? Veteran Biker. And 2 good books. Actually, one he took the pictures in. It's called Big Red. He used to serve on a nuclear missile sub. And then the other one, which I found really, really fascinating, was about our Cold War era tactics in the espionage game utilizing subs. Veteran Biker, you can chat in with what that book title was. I can't remember it right now. I can picture the cover, but I cannot remember. It was really a good book. Anyhow, 80-20 issues. After an election in which voters resoundingly said the government had stopped listening to the concerns of working Americans, Democrats repeatedly held caterwauling press conferences to defend a federal agency that most people had never heard of, the U.S. Agency for International Development, which spends billions of dollars overseas. Everyone knows the government wastes mountains of money, but Democrats, Ben says, put a QR code on the screen for you guys. So you can scan it. Well, it's in the whatever, just FYI, I'll figure that out, get the QR code for you fine folks. But here, what I will do for you, just in case you want to do this, you're under no pressure to do this, by the way. But anyhow, it's in the description down below. So if you want to use that, the description. But I'm going to go back to my thing here in just 1 second. Here we go. I'm gonna put this in there for you. I think it's in there. I don't have the QR code up, but there's my Cash App. So anyways, but yeah, I did reapply, just FYI, for YouTube monetization. We'll see what happens. It's been like 20 days and they still haven't gotten back on it. Usually doesn't bode well. So that's okay. I do have a new sponsor coming on board, folks. I'm doing what I can to keep things going here so I can keep doing this. But I get 5 kids still at home. I mean, it's not like I don't need to make money and all that. So I can't. Here, let me move back to this. I'm just trying to get back to this now. I got way off track there. Sorry. Um, they opposed Mr. Trump's plans to eliminate taxes on Social Security benefits, overtime pay, and tips for service industry workers. They denigrate his obvious success in securing the southern border. Folks, did you see how low it has gone? Our southern border invasion is basically over. It's over. I mean, he literally just shut it off like that. Remember what he said in his joint address to Congress? Apparently, all you need is a new president. Exactly. I haven't even mentioned my sponsor, folks, MyPillow. MyPillow.com. Use promo code Lumberjack for big savings. This is the MyPillow 2.0. Standard pillows right now are $14.98. They did a mega sale 2.0. They reinstated free shipping on orders over $75. So go check it out, MyPillow.com. Use promo code Lumberjack or call the 1-800 number at 1-800-568-2865. Again, that's 1-800-568-2865 for the best sleep products available, folks. And he's got kitchen towels. He's got everything. So if you want to go over there and you're like, well, I've already got pillows or I've already got sheets. By the way, the sheets are on a big sale again now too. So there it is. I just reposted that for you too. They also buck a huge majority of Americans who think biological men should not be allowed to play in women's sports. I already talked about that. These are political layups, but Democrats rail against them because they are Trump policies. This is not a party that has learned anything at all. But here's my favorite piece today. I saved it for you who stuck with me to the near end. Okay. And this is really awesome if you understand just how big this is. One of the things that we saw happen this last election cycle was Trump captured the culture. So if you don't remember, I mean, the Trump dance was being done in the end zone at the NFL. It was being done all over the place. My kids, they go to dances and people are doing the Trump dance, okay? So all that is taking place. Do me a favor, smash that like really quick and we'll get over 2,000 people on the stream. We're at 1957. So this out of the Washington Examiner by Peachy Keenan. Conservatives are seizing the means of cultural production. President Donald Trump's capture of the Kennedy Center and the associated federal arts institutions has triggered a quiet earthquake among a small slice of the electorate. Artists, writers, and creatives on the right. Okay, this is huge because the left has long won the culture war because they've owned the mechanisms and they've owned the means of production to get the cultural message out, and they've also owned the creators in that space. The new board of the Capitol's premier performing arts center now includes an impressive lineup of influential conservatives, cabinet officials, and even Trump's wonderful chief of staff, Susie Wiles. This is a huge improvement over the last regime's board, which was stuffed with the worst woke, feminist busybodies, liberal fanatics, and censorious propagandists. Folks, did you see, it just happened yesterday, J.D. Vance and his wife went to the Kennedy Center and got booed as they showed up in their box. The whole crowd stopped to boo them. I mean, the unhinged left, it's just beautiful to watch their meltdown, okay? It's just the deal, okay? The new board of the Capitol's Performing Arts Centers now include an impressive lineup. But it's important to make sure that the new performances and programming do not just cater to the Fox News right. What is the Fox News right, folks? I mean, isn't that the same network that called Arizona with a low percentage of the vote in back in 2020? That Fox News right? Fox News is, let me just say something about Fox News. There's some good hosts on there, Jesse Waters and so on. They had Tucker Carlson. Of course, they let him go. He was going to cover the J6 issue, and they didn't like that. And he also started talking about 2020. But here's the thing. They are reactionaries to the political world. So instead of taking a principled stand on certain things, they react to the whims of the populace, okay? Watching the news media, I saw something from Veteran Biker here. Watching the news media bicker is hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. It's ridiculous. Anyways, But it's more important to make sure the new performance and programming do not just cater to the Fox News right. I'd hate to see the news slate devolve into a mere image of the programming the left-wing former Kennedy Center Board championed lectures by Marxist academics, BLM-style propaganda, feminist and transgender products, and fashionable liberal tropes such as Hamilton. There's nothing wrong with some good old-fashioned Republican red meat, but my hope is that at least some of the cultural products of this newly reformed institution will speak to larger themes that can transcend politics: humanity, truth, beauty, goodness, masculinity, femininity, history and tradition, Western civilization, and what it means to be an American. I agree with all that, and I think they can do a great job. But don't kid yourself. The left will call it, I mean, you want to talk about femininity and masculinity? The left is going to call that just red meat for conservatives. Okay? It needs to be embraced. These are timeless themes that have been explored in the greatest literary, artistic, and musical traditions of the era. If you are drawn to these themes and ideas, you are by definition on the right, since the left has long since fled for the land of lunacy. But even more important are the themes and ideas we do not celebrate: transgenderism, body positivity, equity, diversity, the hatred of America, and liberal feminism, just to name a few. The great Catholic writer G.K. Chesterton once said that if you marry the spirit of the age, you become a widow in the next. Let me repeat that one more time. If you marry the spirit of the age, you become a widow in the next. Meaning that tying oneself to the fads and fashions of a particular moment is a surefire way to be forgotten, because those fads have no relevance to the past or to the future. And that's what the Democrat Party is facing right now. The same idea applies to injecting political ideology in traditional art forms and stories. A good story is a good story, whether it's set in the future, the past, or the present, and the timeless ways of telling it still apply. Have you guys ever noticed that? I mean, a good story is always a good story. So here's the thing. As Trump does what he does, slashing the federal government, recreating the board of the Kennedy Center, all of these things, we are seeing cultural shifts. And that's why Trump is such a transformational figure. He is the one person who is running for president who could actually institute those cultural shifts, because he had engaged with the culture to such a high level. I was talking with my kids the other night. Do you realize how hard of a job it would be to be president? Now, I understand that Joe Biden was president, right? And it wasn't hard for him because he vacationed on the beach, but he wasn't acting like a president. He wasn't a real president, right? Y'all understand that? I mean, he wasn't. So other people, I mean, the auto pen, the signatures, you guys all understand this, right? You guys have all heard about the auto pen scandal, right? I mean, basically everything was getting signed by auto pen. Everybody else was making the decisions. Joe Biden was not the president. But to actually be the president, do you understand how hard of a job that would be? Thanks. I see all those wonderful comments. It would be so difficult because every decision you made would have such huge economic consequences, geopolitical consequences, consequences dealing with war and peace, all of this. And it's falling on your shoulders to make the right call. It's a tough job. And Trump does it, and he makes decisions without fear. That's the thing I like so much about Donald Trump. He does it without fear. Good to see you on, Dr. Insomnia. So anyways, I'm telling you, the left is falling apart. AOC went on with Jake Tapper screaming about Chuck Schumer. Gillibrand, they try to present Slotkin as a moderate. They tried to present Tim Walz as a moderate, folks. These are not moderate people. And eventually the truth comes out. And Trump will bring the truth out because they can't agree with anything he does. They act like total freaks. So away we go, folks. You have a great day today. Go out and do something wonderful, glorious. The weather's great here in Minnesota. Go out for a nice walk in the woods. Enjoy this life that God has given you. All right? And keep fighting the good fight. Stay true to the cause. All right? Love y'all. Peace out.